Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's episode of Intuitive Angling, and man, I hope you guys are having a good day, and really appreciate you guys coming by the channel to check the video out today. And guys, like the title said, we're going to be talking about today, you might as well say goodbye to your favorite bass pros, because in short order, they're not going to be around anymore. You're just not going to see them. It's going to be a thing of the past, and we're going to talk about why that is in today's video. Also, guys, before we get started, just want to remind you that Solar Bat has a Independence Day 4th of July sale on my Solar Bat Series RB2 and RB3 series sunglasses. Actually, I don't have a pair right here with me, but if you guys are interested in getting a pair, you can get them at 30% off between now and the 4th of July. I'll put the Solar Bat link in the description along with all the other links I put in the channel. So a big thank you to me and my family for everybody that's been using all those links in every video I put in there. I really appreciate that. Okay guys, I got a phone call from one of my buddies on the Bassmaster Elite Series last week, and he was actually coming back from Smith Lake at the Elite Series tournament down there and just super frustrated. And guys, this friend of mine, he is one of the top bass pros in the country and has been for about the last 20 years. Just super nice guy, and just I respect the heck out of him as an angler. He is a hammer. Won Bassmaster tournaments, qualified for a ton of classics. And up until the last 2 or 3, really about the last 2 years, when spotlighting started to dominate the tournaments, he was at the top of the list all the time. And in the age of spotlighting that we find ourselves in, you know, he and a lot of other hammers like that, you know, well-known, you know, superstar bass pros, they can't keep up. They cannot compete with the new breed of spotlighter that is out there. And he even made a comment that he told me that. He said, Randy, he goes, I can't compete anymore. He goes, I'm going broke. And this is a guy that is a freaking hammer. And he was making a comment, he goes, 60% of the guys at Smith Lake at the Elite Series tournament, they are out there over 150 to 200 feet of water with their trolling motor on high, with all their spotlight live scope transducers pointed everywhere, just hauling ass down the middle of the lake, just looking for fish on forward facing sonar. Nothing to it other than that. Just balls to the wall, trolling motor high, you know, just keep scoping until you see some fish and then start casting to them. That's what it's become. And anyway, I want to have a little conversation about this, because what's happening is guys like my buddy that are a household name, along with probably there's about, you know, 30 or 40 guys that are household names on the Elite Series. Guys, they're on their way out, and even if forward facing sonar was illegal like it should be in tournaments, these guys would be at the top of the game. And you wouldn't know any of the people out there that are in the top 10 of Angler of the Year. Guys, I looked through the Bassmaster Angler of the Year top 10 today. I didn't know, I mean, I heard of a couple names, but basically I didn't know any of them. It looked like a list of people that fish some weekend buddy tournament, or, you know, people that you just don't know of. They're not households name. Nobody knows who they are, and they've emerged to be dominant forces in the sport of professional fishing at the top level, simply because of forward-facing sonar. There's no other reason before it. And I get in this a lot of here, and I don't want to make this sound that I'm anti-young angler, because I've been there. I started when I was 23 on the Bassmaster circuit. This is not about that. I feel sorry for the young anglers, guys. I feel sorry for all those guys that are 18 to 25 years old that have become addicted to spotlighting for bass, because Bassmaster has put them in the position that they have to do that, and they've been encouraged that is the way that they need to go. I feel sorry for them that they lack skills in other areas. And I hear people say all the time, oh, Randy, just because those guys, they'd kick your butt even if they weren't spotlighting. Bullshit on that. There's no way that you're gonna have an 18 or 20 or 22, 23-year-old kid that is going to dominate and beat veterans out there that have decades of knowledge of seasonal patterns and bass movement that they can apply to different bodies of water across the country. You can't do it. It's physically impossible. So no, they would not compete. They'd be at the bottom of the Elite Series standings without forward-facing sonar. So anyway, one of the things about this is what we've created here is this. I put every single bit of blame on this on Bassmaster and MLF. You've heard me talk about this before, because the Smith Lake tournament, guys, that's going on right now is a prime example of it. And the next two smallmouth tournaments that Bassmaster have, it is a 100% complete total domination forward-facing sonar. There's always going to be one or two guys out there that are like anomalies, like Steve Kennedy throwing a big swim bait that's going to sneak up there once in a while, but they can't compete either. You can't, even guys like Steve Kennedy can't compete against the spotlighters. He got knocked out, of it, and I predicted that. I told you guys yesterday that's what was going to happen, and it did. So anyway, what's going to happen here is there's a lot of bass pros out there, like my buddy that fishes the Elite Series circuit and even on the MLF2, that they are on their way out. They simply can't compete. And people say, Randy, that's their fault. They need to learn forward-facing sonar. No, they don't. That what needs to happen is Bassmaster needs to get that technology eliminated and banned from the tournament, because guys like my buddy and all the other fans, all the superstar pros that you guys used to be fans before forward-facing sonar came in and ruined the sport, you can't take somebody like that has honed their skills over decades and expect them to just abandon that and roam around out in the middle of the lake in 200 feet of water with their head glued to a video game stream. They're not going to do it, because there's no dignity to that, and there's no honor to that. Here's the thing, here's what I feel sorry for. It's like, this is why the public in general don't have much respect for live scopers, is because you take some of the most well-known pros out there. You take Kevin Van Dam, all those guys. Let me go through the list. David Fritz, for example. David Fritz gained his fame and his respect by knowing how to triangulate offshore structure with a paper map on his lap, and he dominated with that. He gained respect for that. Kevin Van Dam gained respect for being the ultimate shallow water power fisherman that could break down cover and just cover massive amount of water and trigger strikes from fish that weren't, active at all. Tommy Biffle and Denny Brower, their flipping was their art form, and they gained respect through that particular fishing genre out there. Every bass pro out there that has gained respect and has a huge following has got a skill set and a specialty that is their art form. And that there's respect that comes with that, because it takes decades to master that art form and get that respect. There's no dignity and honor or respect that can be gained from going out there and turning on a dang video screen and roaming out in the middle of the lake. Because this is why you got 10 guys that are leading the Bassmaster Angler of the Year points that most people have never heard of. Because when you are able, let's say for example, you've never been on Smith Lake before, and you don't know anything about how the lake's set up, or the habitat or the structure or the personality of the spotted bass there. If you're a spotlighter and you're a 19-year-old, 20-year-old spotlighter, you simply go out there. You can get out in the major creek arm. You get out in the middle of that creek in 100 foot of water, and you just put that trolling motor on high, and you got your spotlights going all around the boat, and you just cruise down there with your eyes glued to that screen until you see a fish to cast upon it. The only skill set that is required from that is for somebody to take them out there and understand what they are seeing on a live image video screen. That is, anybody can do that. You don't even have to know anything about bass. The only thing you have to know is how to cast a minnow, a little jig head minnow on a spinning rod, and sit there with your umbilical cord tied to your live scope. That's all you have to do. You don't have to know anything about seasonal patterns and movements of fish personality, bait profiles, how the weather affects movement of fish. You don't have to know any of that, because you're fishing for a segment of the fish in the lake that need to be protected, and they have been protected forever up until the last couple of years. They are tapping into these fish out there that are in their offshore deep water sanctuaries that need that protection zone, that no longer have it, and there's no skill behind that whatsoever. And that's why, like for me, I just simply, I don't have anything personally against people that are in the top 10 of the Angler of the Year. I'm not saying those are bad people. I don't have respect for how that is accomplished, because it does not take skill to do that. There is no skill involved with it. When you compare skill levels to the things I'm talking about, like with Tommy Biffle and Clun and Kevin Van Dam and Gary Klein and all the superstars of the sport that have mastered the craft on every single level. But what has happened now is I don't understand what is going through the minds of people at Bassmaster and MLF to see what is going on here. All you have to do, guys, is look through the comments. The people were pissed and they were sick and tired of seeing this at Smith Lake. It's like, I don't understand how people at Bassmaster can't look through the comments, and they're gonna have a handful of spotlighters out there that defend the sport because they don't know how to catch fish regular bass fishing. But when you got a vast majority of the public that's outraged by this, and even your viewers are outraged by this, what is it that Bassmaster and MLF don't want to respond to? Is money that big of a deal? Is it that important? Or is it the people that make the decisions at Bassmaster? Do they have some type of a vested interest in pushing the veterans out of the sport and pushing the hammers out of the sport and getting this group of, anglers in there that don't know anything about fishing except for spotlighting into the sport? I mean, I don't know what they're thinking there, but I got watching, I tuned in for just a little bit. I can't stand to watch it over a minute or two because it's the same thing all the time. And I was just disgusted, and I was completely empathetic to what my buddy said coming back from Smith Lake. These guys are frustrated. And another thing about that, guys, is the majority of the guys out there that do well spotlighting, not all of them, the majority of them, they don't want to do it either. You hear it all the time. It's like, I hate it. I don't want to do it. I'm forced to do it. Bassmaster is forcing me to do this, or I'm not going to make it out here on the circuit. And then you've got 10% or 15% of the Elite Series pros out there that they're all in. They don't do anything else. They don't have no desire. They go to a lake and they get out there and they've got a tackle box with a forward-facing minnow and an eco rig and a drop shot or whatever. And they get out in the middle of the lake and they stare at their electronics all day. There's no dignity to that. I'm embarrassed for them for doing that. And it's like, I just get sick of having to talk about it, but it's like it never ends. It's like it's every single tournament. And I guess as long as we have to endure it and put up with it, we're going to keep doing videos on it. But I'm just waiting patiently to see what Bassmaster is going to do next year with rule changes. They're going to make some type of a change on there. I'm not holding my breath that they're going to do the right thing, because I don't, from what my observation has been with them over the last 2 years regarding this, that's not on their fort. There's some other agenda going on other than doing the right thing here. So anyway, guys, just wanted to let you know, enjoy it, for the little bit of time it has left, because I can assure you that your favorite old school hammer bass fishermen, they're gone. They are going to be dropping like flies over the next couple of years. You mark my word on this. It's gonna come to pass. And very few of the predictions that I've made on this, guys, have not been true, simply because I've been in the sport for so long. I know a lot of people. I know what the sport. I know the ins and outs of it, and I can see the writing on the wall with this. So if something's not done with this and forward-facing sonar is not made illegal in tournaments, you're going to have a Bassmaster Elite Series circuit with 100 people out there that you've never heard of, that their claim to fame is they're able to look at a video game screen with their head down, not taking it off, and catch fish in live image, live time that they didn't even know were there before. And that's all it's going to be. It's a sad time for our sport. Our sport right now is in a very, very dark place. A very dark place. And until there's enough public outrage that just boils over the top, it's not going to change, guys, because we've talked about this before. It's all about money. It's all about the electronic companies and their big fat check they write to the tournament organizations every year. Until we get to a precipice where those subsidies from the electronic companies do not equate to all the other vested interests that they have in running tournaments, we're going to have to put up with this. But I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed for Bassmaster. I'm embarrassed for MLF. As somebody that's been in the sport for 50 years, and I've been fishing Bassmaster tournaments since the mid 80s. I was good friends with Ray Scott, Forrest Wood, all of the founders of the sport. I'm embarrassed for the sport. And I know that Ray Scott, Forrest Wood, and all the rest of them would probably be embarrassed for the place we find ourselves at right now. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. Talk later.